Hi, and welcome to BioFix Physical Therapy and Fitness. My name is Philip Carr, and today we're going to be discussing something I think is really important and can be applied to every single workout you are performing. Now, I'm not talking about a specific exercise or a specific way to do the exercise. I'm not talking about a way your nutrition should be carried out or a way you should be eating or drinking. What I am going to be talking about is thermoregulation and the way our body cools itself and the way it differs between when we're stationary at rest and when we're exercising. I'm going to talk about the 4 different ways that we do this. I'm going to simplify them and give examples of each one and why it's so important, the clothing that we wear, the environment that we are in and we place ourselves in, and possibly impacting the time of day that we should be doing our exercise. Okay? So the first one we're going to go over is radiation. Now don't worry, you're not a mutant, you're not the Incredible Hulk, you're not emitting gamma radiation, you're not the potential harm to your loved ones or those around you, but you are emitting heat. So your body should be approximately 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. My desk right here is cooler than I am right now. So I'm sending heat through non-contact. I'm emitting heat to that object or the surface, and it's being absorbed, and that way I'm losing heat and cooling down. Now, when we're at rest, our body loses heat. It's approximately 60% from this process. Now, this will change when we're exercising. Another form will kind of take over and almost take over to about 75% of that. The next form that we're doing is probably of heat loss is probably the least important, especially when we're exercising for most sports, and that's conduction. Conduction is basically we're in contact with a surface and we're sending heat into that surface through contact. I'm sitting on my chair right now. There's a metal frame. I'm sending heat into that metal frame. Not much because there's not much contact. Kind of sitting away from my chair. Now, if you look at when we're doing sports, most of the time we're kind of up and moving around. We're not in contact with surfaces. I can't. If you were laying on a slab of ice, I couldn't imagine why you'd want to be doing that. Maybe it would be more important. But in this situation, conduction is probably the least important for heat loss when performing sports or exercise. The next one is convection. Now, don't worry, you're not an oven. You're not cooking those around you. Oh, maybe you are if you ever go to a gym. Get in that room where there's like 300 people and everyone's kind of moving around. Maybe you are emitting a lot of heat and kind of cooking those around you. But on a more serious note, convection basically is molecules move by you, air molecules or water molecules, and they basically, our body emits heat to those molecules and they go off to an area away from your body and that basically cools you. The most real world example I can give on this is a fan. You turn on the fan, it blows air molecules by you. Your body sends out heat, is absorbed by those cool molecules. They want to go to an area where there's less warmer molecules, so they go to a high concentration of warmth to a lower concentration, and that's a way we can lose heat. The same thing when we're in water. In fact, this probably might actually impact water a little more, just due to the higher or high specific heat of water, meaning water can really absorb a lot of heat. So if you're in a really cold batch of water for an extended period of time, that's when you kind of have to watch yourself. Our body really struggles to regulate our temperature in water, and it can be potentially dangerous to us if we're in a freezing cold water. I think everyone saw the movie Titanic, where Leonardo DiCaprio quickly, is gone in like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm not saying anyone's kind of swimming in ice cold scenario, but again, I just want to touch on it is relevant when we are in a pool environment. The fourth is evaporation, and it's probably the most important when we're exercising. I know, evaporation, sweat, not very fun to think about, but it is the most important when we are exercising. There's a couple different ways I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about the environment, and I'm going to talk about the clothing we should be wearing to maximize this process. Now, if you look at evaporation, what happens is, say you're exercising, you're running, whatever, the body goes, oh, we're getting hot, we need to cool down. The hypothalamus in the brain will send a signal to our sweat glands, hey, we need to cool down, sweat, so we get a kind of a thin layer of sweat on our skin, and what happens is our elevated body temperature warms that sweat up, and then a vapor gradient is produced, and in the form of vapor, heat is transferred away from us. It goes from a high concentration to low concentration. Now, if you go to the environment, such a scenario I was just talking about, if you are in a very humid environment, say you're in South Beach, Florida during the summer, like really humid day, when it's really humid, your body's not able to create that kind of concentration gradient because there's such a high level of vapor around you. You will sweat, but you will not cool down. You'll basically lose a lot of fluid and have an increased chance of dehydration in the process from doing this. Another scenario too is, say you work in Arizona during the summer. I don't know why you want to work out in the middle of the day in Arizona on blacktop in the summer, but to say you are, that surface can get up to 130, 140 degrees quite easily on blacktop. And if you look at the first way we lose heat, radiation, basically we're emitting heat, our warm body sends it to a cooler surface. Well, in this situation, it kind of becomes the reverse. We become the recipients of heat. So the blacktop, 140 degrees, will send heat to us. We will absorb it, and instead of cooling down, we will heat up. And again, we are at greater chance of dehydration, heat stroke, etc. So the worst environment you can be in is a really hot and really humid environment. It just kind of is a double whammy. Now, that's kind of the environment scenario I was talking about. Next is clothing. Now, one of the biggest trends I've seen recently is, you got the people that come in with their hooded sweatshirt, hood's over, they got the long sweatpants, you got the combat boots, you got the backpack with your chalk and, I don't know, gloves or whatever you're wearing or carrying in your gym attire these days. Basically, the thing is, it's not very thermally efficient. You're going to heat up. You need skin to be exposed to effectively cool yourself down with evaporation. So take that into context. When you're planning your workouts, you want to wear something that kind of maybe is sleeveless so your arms are exposed. Wear shorts and maybe ankle socks. The reason this is important, planning the environment and what you're wearing, is if you can cool yourself more effectively, you're going to be able to work out longer, you're going to be able to work out more intense and with a greater intensity, and that will maximize your performance in the short term and in the long term. This is important because you get, for example, you go to the cycle bars where there's like 50 people in a 300 square foot room. Everyone's going like mad. The room is super, super hot. It's so humid, and you're like, oh, turn the fan on or the air conditioner. They're like, no, we're cheap. No, they say they're challenging you, right? No, they're not. What they're doing is they're dehydrating you. Your performance is dropping really low instead of being maximized, and you're actually going to burn less calories in the process as a result. And you are going to burn or lose less fat weight as a result. You might lose more weight, but it's not good weight. It's fluid weight, which you will hopefully replenish later when you get home and you rehydrate. So that really needs, when you are planning your workouts, make sure it's an environment that's cool, low humidity. The temperature they recommend is high 60s to low 70s, low relative humidity, and wear something that exposes the skin on your body. Now, I'm not saying work out naked. Gyms have certain standards you have to follow, but wear like a tank top maybe and shorts. That's the best kind of a gym attire. Okay. I hope you've learned something from these little tidbits again today. This kind of help maximize your performance and maximize your potential gains. My name is Philip Carr. This is BioFix Physical Therapy and Fitness. Thanks for joining us.